Superman is broken. James Gunn's DC universe. More virtue signaling at play. First, with a plot centered on fake news and online trolls, and now the fans debating whether the Man of Steel is broke, not to mention making fun of the Snyder cut, which is, the previous Superman movies. Is this still telling is this still telling about a Superman story, or about pushing an agenda-driven message and virtue signaling as James Gunn did with Creature Commandos? There's been people come forward to say that people like us are going to hate this movie because it's full of virtue signaling. The Kent farmhouse, pictured there, looks very different in Gunn's Superman movie compared to the past versions. Traditionally, the Kent home is shown as a two-story colonial with a porch, a white picket fence, and a feel of a classic Midwestern farm. So, is this still Superman or political messaging? One user joked, "Oh no, Clark is going to be wearing a well-worn red MAGA hat." A reminder that Gunn's attempt at grounding Superman in a more real America may not be read as neutral. And yeah, in reality, if he's middle of farm area, he would be wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah.
And someone else says, as someone who lived with his teen mom and grandparents from the age of 5, they lived in a double wide that his grandfather built himself on farmland. This couldn't mean more to me. So in this movie, in his version of the movie, he lives in a converted double wide. Here's the thing: in the South, there's people who's relatively wealthy that live in trailers. A lot of people take trailer as dirt poor, broke. That's not the truth. You're just used to living in a city.
Yeah. Well, here, I mean, in the South, mobile homes are more economical. They're cooler.
Which this statement points out. See, I appreciate this. I lived in a double wide on a cattle farm in rural Alabama until I was 10. We weren't rich and we weren't poor. We were solidly middle class for the area. So many people associate trailers with dirt poor, which is absolutely not true. It's you come out to the country, the mass majority of people live in trailers, and some of them have quite a bit of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, trailers, they're all you got to do is set them up. You don't have to build anything on them unless you want to.
Now, on one hand,
my cousin was always made fun of for that shit, and I'm like, dude, it's pretty smart.
On one hand, I can appreciate them trying to represent the poor because the poor are the most unrepresented people ever. But on the other hand, they're kind of mocking people that live in trailers as poor when it's absolutely not the truth.
Yeah, true. They always get that shit wrong, They always want to make poor people out to be trash and if you live in a trailer, you're trash and all that stuff. And it's just simply not the truth.
It seems every bit of this movie is aimed at somebody. It's like, these taking shots at this bunch or that bunch, or he's virtue signaling to this bunch or that bunch, or, putting down this bunch or that bunch. Why can't it just be a feel-good movie? Why, exactly. Why not?
Well, I think the more they try to do this, the further away that people are going to run from the franchise, which is sad because, the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, the first one was epic. And these are probably not going to have the same feel.
This is coming from people who were alive when the first 70s Superman movie came out. Yeah, it wasn't like when movies come out today. Oh, just another movie. I'm looking forward to it or I'm not. It was like it really had an epic feel to it.
Yeah.
It was iconic.
Yeah, when you saw the blue and the earth and especially
like larger than life.
Yeah.
So to speak. Not to mention his goofy Gen Z hairstyle there.
I just don't think this person fits the Superman role very well. I think they could have done better to get a Superman.
I mean, in some ways he does, but ultimately it doesn't play off well enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's just weird. I don't know. It just doesn't fit, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lilith.
You know, I know I'd like to see more movies like the older fantasy movies, like the Never Ending Story or the Last Unicorn, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Nice.
without the virtue signaling, not to mention the writing and in particular the writing is not as good as it used to be.
Mm-mm. I think they're getting AI to write it all.
Oh, Eric's gonna hate this shit. Stand by.
I mean, I think I think AI is writing all the movie scripts now because it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter what movie it is; it's all the
But
same story.
yeah, a lot of this virtue signaling turns into insults. Kind of like when we're making this movie for black people and for gay people and now for poor people, when it's like, whoa, you don't even know what you're saying. You're stereotyping and you're insulting people.
Yeah, they're in. I mean, they don't know how to make good stories anymore. I remember when movies was, you had your pick of genre, but the stories were good. And now they don't even care if the story is good or not. They just throw it out there for the sake of getting money. The art has gone from it, and that's just the truth.
It's every movie is now just a thinly veiled propaganda machine.
Yeah. I mean,
A virtue signaling machine.
yeah. And people are getting tired of it, and they wonder why the movies are such big flops now.
It's all the self inserts. It's identity politics and ego. If you want to make good products that's going to be classic, timeless, and loved that sell well, take yourself out of the equation, or at least your ego, your identity politics. Take that out entirely.
Yeah, I think so too. But they won't do it because they 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 won't listen to reason. When
Because they hate
reason,
everyone.
yeah,
Here's
reason
the
has
thing.
went out the window.
I honestly think Weird of Light here has a point. I do think they hate everyone. It's kind of like the rich hang out with the rich, right? And they only hang out with the rich, and everybody else they see as one way or another beneath them. I believe these Hollywood types are the exact same way. And probably even in their own circles, they envy and despise one another. That's the problem is too much hatred to go around. I mean, of course, the identity politics, but it's too much hatred circling.
Hmm. Well, what's going to happen, I think, is it's going to keep going until they start to eat their own, basically, and nobody's going to pay them any attention anymore, and they're going to wonder why, and they only have themselves to blame. Now, whether they
Well,
learn anything from it or not, I don't know, but
you also have the people that have to consume the latest whatever. They have to have the Nintendo Switch 2. They have to see the latest Superman. They must. It's some people would call that uh, fear of missing out. A lot of times it's referred to as FOMO. It's consumerism. Whatever the case, it's painting us all into a corner that we don't need to be in.
Lilith asked a question.
You have a trailer and they're certain width. I'm not sure, maybe 16-foot wide, something like that.
Hmm.
A double wide is just like you double the width, and they transport it in two different parts and they put it together.
Yeah,
Like half of it here, half of it here, then it's put it together.
yeah,
Now I noticed that this article kept saying a converted double wide. Converted, I mean, you can build onto one, sure, but convert it. It's already a home. How
yeah.
do you
I don't,
convert it?
I
I'm
don't
guessing
understand that.
I'm guessing it's being like built onto like a porch or something.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
see that
but
as converting.
no.
I mean, exactly. It's already a home. What are you converting it into?
Unless they created it, they made it built onto it to make it into a house. I mean, like
Okay, you get it there. You put it together. You take the axles off. It's a home.
yeah,
I'm failing to see what you converted into.
yeah. I don't get it either. It
You
doesn't
can
make
build on rooms. You can build on rooms. You know, you can do that. But I suppose that's what they mean is like where you cut out the wall and you add another room and another room. I suppose that's what they mean. I just, you know, I don't see that as converting. I see that as adding. You know, it's an addition
yeah.
because it's already a home.